Silly girl. That's what my lawyer said after looking through the stack of papers my sister had doctored. I was halfway through my morning coffee in London when he told me the condo my grandmother left me was gone, sold, signed away, stolen clean. My sister had turned my inheritance into her personal paycheck, and the evidence sat right there on my screen. I didn't shout. I didn't end the call. I just stared out the window, watching the rain trail down the glass like it already understood what I would do next. Because if my sister thought I'd sit quietly across the ocean, she truly didn't understand what silence is capable of. Distance used to feel like safety. An ocean between me and the family drama, the comparisons, the subtle glances that said I was always one step behind. London had become a space where I could breathe, grow, build a life that didn't depend on anyone's approval. My sister, Malene, stayed in Florida, married a wealthy man, became the golden daughter everyone at church bragged about. Mom adored her for it. And me? I was the dreamer who packed her bags and left. The creative child who never quite fit into the mold they carved for me. But there was one person who never tried to shrink me, Grandma Evelyn. She was warmth in a household full of cold judgment. Every summer she'd brew lavender tea on her Tampa Bay balcony, the ceiling fan humming softly overhead, while she told me how she learned to rebuild her life after losing Grandpa. "Don't let life make you small, Lizzie," she'd whisper, squeezing my hand. "You're meant to fill the room." That condo was more than a building. It was her heart, left behind for me, soaked in her voice, her stories, her scent. When she passed, she left me the deed written in her neat cursive, each loop a reminder that someone had seen my worth before anyone else ever did. After the funeral, Malene took over everything. The arrangements, the documents, the estate meetings. She looked perfectly put together in that cream dress, greeting people like she was running a gala instead of grieving our grandmother. I thought she was being responsible. I didn't know she was rearranging far more than flowers. Whenever I called home, Mom sighed into the phone. "You should be more like your sister. She has it figured out." I'd murmur something, sip my coffee, let it go. I learned early on that fairness in our family was like trying to stop a storm with your bare hands. So when my lawyer called that morning, when he said the condo was already transferred and sold, something inside me went still. Not loud, not panicked. Quiet. A cold, precise snap. I pictured Malene signing forged paperwork with that smooth, polished smile she always used when she wanted the world to think she was doing something noble. I opened my laptop and scrolled until I found a photo of Grandma and me on that balcony. Her hand resting on mine, sunlight glinting on the silver watch she wore every day. My chest tightened. The condo wasn't just a place. It was proof that someone once believed in me without conditions, and my sister had cashed it out like it was nothing. The drizzle outside thickened, tapping the window with a rhythm that felt like a warning. I closed my eyes and whispered into the stillness, "Grandma, I'm sorry. I should have protected what you gave me." Then my phone buzzed again, an email from my lawyer. Subject: Inconsistencies found. My heartbeat stalled for a second, because deep down I already sensed the truth. Douglas's voice crackled over the line. "Elizabeth, something's off here," he said. "The notary stamps aren't legitimate, and the signature looks practiced." I pushed away from my desk, staring at the screen. "Practiced," I said, though I knew exactly what he meant. He hesitated before sighing. "Silly girl," he muttered, not at me, but at whoever thought they could pull this off. "Your sister must have forged it." Those words echoed in my head. Silly girl. Not an insult, but a spark. My sister really believed I was naive enough, distant enough, trusting enough to never notice. Maybe I had been, but that version of me was gone. I minimized the call and pulled up the emailed copy of the will Douglas had sent me months earlier. When I compared it to the signature on the transfer, the differences were small but undeniable. The tighter loops, the heavier pressure on the pen. Malene always pressed too hard when she wrote. She liked leaving marks. Outside, the rain blurred the whole city into streaked shadows. I felt that same blur inside me. a mix of grief and fury hardening into something sharper. Grandma always told me, if someone steals from you, they're not taking what's yours, they're revealing who they are. And now I saw exactly who Moline was. Douglas cleared his throat. Listen, Elizabeth, don't confront her yet. If she altered legal files, we need a full trail. I'll pull the property logs, the payment histories. Just keep quiet for now. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Okay, I said softly. Just find out everything. After he hung up, silence settled over the room like a heavy blanket. My hands trembled above the keyboard. It wasn't only about the condo. It was every dinner where Moline outshined me. Every moment she belittled my choices. Every time Mom sighed, "You're so emotional." Maybe I was, but emotion kept me alive. And now it would turn into fuel. For the next few hours, I dug through emails, letters, scans, and old photos of Grandma's handwriting. Every curl of every letter became evidence. When I lined them up side by side, the flaw in the forged signature jumped out like daylight. Almost perfect. Almost. And that almost would be her downfall. By midnight, papers and empty mugs surrounded me. I sent Douglas the comparison images and typed a final sentence before hitting send. She thought I wouldn't notice. She was wrong. A buzz vibrated across my desk. A text from a blocked number. "You've been asking questions." I froze, breath stuck in my chest. I typed back, "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared, then vanished. The next morning my phone rang again, this time showing a name I hadn't seen in months. Moline. I stared at the screen, debating. Then I answered. "Liz," she chirped, loud and sweet. "You won't believe how hectic things have been. I finally sold Grandma's condo. Closed last week." I tightened my grip on my phone. "You sold it?" "Yep," she said proudly. "Cash offer, $320. The realtor said I handled everything flawlessly. Anyway, I want to thank you for not complicating things. I know legal stuff overwhelms you." I didn't speak. Not because I couldn't, but because rage was coiled beneath my ribs. "And hey," she added brightly, "I'm sending you 10 grand next week. I figured it might help with your rent out there." 10,000 from my inheritance. "Moline," I said slowly, "you do realize Grandma left that condo to me." She laughed like I'd told a joke. "Oh, please. Grandma wanted us both to have it. You're off living your little art adventure in Europe. I took care of things for the family." She said family like it was a crown. "You forged her signature," I said, voice flattening. Her tone snapped sharp. "Watch it, Liz. You're confused." I inhaled. "Actually, I'm not. Douglas found inconsistencies. Stamps that aren't real, writing that doesn't match." Silence. Then a brittle laugh. "You're being dramatic again. Maybe your lawyer wants more money. Don't embarrass yourself." She hung up before I could speak. I stared at my reflection in the rain-soaked window. My pulse didn't spike. It steadied. Cold. Certain. I replayed the call, hit record, saved the audio. Her arrogance had given me exactly what I needed. By the time I forwarded the file to Douglas, I was already typing another email. Proceed. Get everything. When Mom called later that night, I almost let it ring, but guilt made me answer. "Sweetheart," she said warmly, "I spoke to Moline. She told me she sold Grandma's place. Such a relief to have that handled." "Handled?" I repeated, my voice stiffening. "She's been working so hard," Mom continued. "You should be proud of her." Proud? I swallowed the bitterness burning my throat. "Did she tell you who inherited it?" A pause. "She said it was divided equally." I closed my eyes. "That's not true, Mom. Grandma left it to me." "Oh, Elizabeth," she sighed, tired already. "Why start drama? Your sister's done everything right. Please just let it go." The call ended before I could respond. For a long time, I stood in the quiet, surrounded by the hum of my fridge and the low hiss of London rain. They thought I was emotional, unstable, the silly girl who ran off chasing art instead of real life. But real life was about to find them. I opened a new folder on my computer and labeled it Truth. Inside, I began dropping files, recordings, letters, comparisons. This time, I wasn't just keeping evidence. I was building a reckoning. Douglas called 3 days later, his tone brisk, controlled, the way it gets when something big is about to drop. "Elizabeth," he said, "we filed the fraud report. The court issued a freeze on the proceeds from the sale. Mullen's about to find out." I pressed the phone against my ear, my heart steady. Then I guess we wait. But we didn't wait long. By noon, my phone started buzzing non-stop, one call after another. Mullen. I let them ring out, watching the notifications pile up like proof of guilt. 10 missed calls, then 15, then 20. Finally, I answered. "What the hell did you do?" she screamed, her voice sharp and panicked. "I don't know," I said evenly. "Why don't you tell me?" "Don't play dumb, Liz. The bank froze my account this morning. Do you have any idea what you've done?" "I didn't do anything," I replied. "The truth did." There was a beat of silence, then a bitter laugh. "You've lost it. You think you can ruin me? You're delusional." "You stole what Grandma left me," I said, coldly. "You forged her meme and pocketed the money. Don't act surprised when consequences show up." Her tone cracked. "Please, you were never responsible enough to manage that property. I handled it for the family the way I always do. You should thank me for stealing from me, for keeping you from embarrassing yourself," she snapped. "You live in another country, sketching logos and drinking lattes. You don't deserve that condo." My hand tightened around the phone. "And you do?" "Someone had to act like an adult," she hissed. "You never grew up." That's when something inside me broke quietly, cleanly. "You know what, Mullen? Maybe I didn't, but Grandma trusted me. And you didn't just steal money. You stole her memory." She hung up. The silence after her disconnect felt heavier than her voice. Minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I almost ignored it until I saw the name attached. "Ethan Pierce, Mullen's husband," I answered, cautiously. "Ethan." "Hey, Elizabeth," he said quietly. His voice was tired, stripped of its usual politeness. "I hope I'm not crossing a line, but I think you deserve to know the truth." I stayed silent. "I didn't know what she'd done," he continued. "She told you you'd given up your claim. I didn't ask questions, but after everything blew up, the frozen account, the bank calls, I started checking things myself. And," he exhaled, "she forged it, Elizabeth. The will, the notary, everything. She said you wouldn't notice from overseas. I confronted her yesterday. She broke down, said she deserved it more. She spent part of the money on a new house. It's gone." The world went quiet around me. "And you're telling me this now because I can't keep lying for her. I'll testify if it goes to court." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then, "Thank you." "You don't have to thank me," he said softly. "You were right all along." When the call ended, I sat in silence, staring at the rain-streaked glass. A strange calm washed over me. Not joy, not triumph, just clarity. Douglas called the next morning. "Ethan's cooperating," he said. "We've got enough to press forward. The buyers are testifying too. If we move now, it's airtight." "Do it," I said. Hours later, Mullen's lawyer reached out. They wanted to settle. "She's offering $150,000, Douglas explained, "if you drop the case and let the sale stand." I laughed, bitter and low. "Half the value of what she stole? No." "She's desperate," he said.
But if we go to trial, her side will claim Grandma wasn't of sound mind when she wrote the will. It'll be ugly. I don't care, I said. I'm done keeping peace at my own expense. He paused. You sound just like your grandmother. That hurt in the best way possible. That night, I couldn't sleep. I opened the last email Grandma had ever sent me. Her words glowed against the dark screen. If I ever leave you something, no, it's not charity. It's a promise that you'll keep living boldly. That's when I knew what to do. The next morning, I told Douglas, I'll settle, but on my terms. He raised an eyebrow. Which are 4 things, I said. First, she writes a notarized apology admitting everything. Second, she repays every cent to the buyers from her own account. Third, she sends a letter to our parents explaining what she did. And fourth, she agrees legally to never contest another inheritance again. He blinked, then smiled slowly. Poetic, brutal. I'll draft it. By sunset, he called back. She agreed. What's she signing now? Her lawyer said she just wants it to end. When the PDF arrived, I opened it with shaking hands. The first page began, Eileen Pierce acknowledged that I falsified legal documents related to the estate of Evelyn Monroe. Her handwriting looked small, defeated. I read it twice, then forwarded it to Douglas with a single line, Justice served. But victory didn't taste sweet. It tasted heavy, like rain-soaked air before a storm breaks. Because justice doesn't erase betrayal, it only proves you were right all along. 2 weeks later, Douglas called again. It's official. The property's back under your name, funds released, buyers reimbursed. I walked to the window, looking out at the Thames, the morning sun spilling through the clouds. What will you do now? He asked. Sell it, I said quietly. Grandma didn't leave it for me to hold on. She left it for me to move forward. When the payment cleared, I stared at the balance on the screen. $350,000. But it wasn't the number that made me cry. It was what it represented. Belief. I quit my job 2 weeks later and opened my own studio, Evelyn Creative. 1 desk, 1 client, 1 dream that finally belonged to me. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. The condo sold faster than I expected. When the funds hit my account, I sat in the quiet of my apartment, watching the numbers glow on the screen. Grandma had given me the courage to stand up for myself, and I finally had. A month later, a small package arrived from Florida, Mom's handwriting on the box. Inside was Grandma's silver watch and a folded note. She would want you to have this. I turned the watch over, tracing the engraving on the back. The world is waiting. The ticking was faint but steady, like a heartbeat that had traveled across time. Mullen moved back near our parents, sold her new house at a loss, and filed for separation. I didn't hate her anymore. I just hoped she learned what Grandma taught me, that freedom and integrity are worth more than anything you can steal. One morning, sunlight spilled across my studio desk, warming the silver watch on my wrist. I smiled, whispering, I made it, Grandma. Outside, London buzzed. New clients, new beginnings, a life that finally fit. If you've ever had to fight for what's right, tell me, was it worth it? Hit subscribe.